In between, there was one time I had to bring my mom to the emergency room. My brother didn't come. I had to bring her to the emergency room, I think, 2 or 3 times, like in between, because she kept needing blood transfusions because she was so severely anemic. She would like go into these spells where she would start having trouble breathing, and then, you know, it was like this whole big thing. So I would constantly have to bring her to the hospital to get blood transfusions. It was like fucking crazy. Every time I brought my mom to the hospital, he never came with us, except one time. There was one time in between, like in like April or May or something, that he finally fucking came to the hospital. And I was like shocked. And at that, my mom was in really bad pain that. He shows up. It was the first time, you know, she had already been in the hospital like two times by then. And he shows up one time at the emergency room and signs my mom out. And I just left. I was so pissed off because I was like, you know what? She's in pain. She's complaining about pain to me every fucking day. You guys don't understand. Every time I picked up the phone to call my mom, all we did was talk about, you know, what symptom was bothering her. And I'm not saying that like in a bad way. I'm the one who heard about it all the time. I'm the one who was taking care of her. I'm the one who had to go over there and deal with this shit. And for you to just come because you're never around, you pop in for a visit every once in a while, but you don't do anything. For you to just all of a sudden come and then be like, oh, I'm gonna bust her out of here because she doesn't want to be here anymore. And I didn't do it in a mean way. Like, I just left. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go home. You know, I'm tired. I'm fucking exhausted. I've never been so stressed out in my life when I was caring for my mom. She's in denial. You know, my family's not helping. My brother's not helping. And it's so frustrating. So now it comes around and it's May. It's around May. My mom's like really depressed at this point, and it's very obvious why. I was just worn out. And I was upset with him over the fucking whole thing about like not even letting me drive with him to the city. And I really wasn't talking to him. It was a facade. It was a facade for my mom, you know? I would try to text him and I never would hear back from him. Or I'd get back like a one-word answer, you know? Like it was bullshit. It was phony bullshit. And they were just putting on a show, and it came pretty clear to me at that point, you know? Because after they brought her for that second opinion thing, it just went back to them not fucking giving a shit, not helping her. And like I said, she went to the hospital, whatever, except that one time he showed up to the emergency room. Ooh, whoopsie fucking do. I mean, listen, my brother has a full-time job, so I would never expect him to be there as much as I was, but like, how about giving up your weekend to come over and hang out with her on a Saturday for more than an hour? Or help her out one night a week, you know? Bring her dinner. I don't know, just something. He didn't do anything the whole fucking time. So he brought her their second opinion and to get the IV filter. And that was it, over a span of like 6 months, you know? And then he would drop by every few weeks for like an hour, you know, him and his wife. They'd just show up at our house. So because they're out now, it's May, and my mom was like down, dude. I mean, she was fucking down. She was really depressed. I can't even imagine, you know? It's like me and my brother not talking really. You know, she has cancer. I mean, it's just like she can never get a fucking break, this woman. You know, people might look at me and be like, oh, Leanna, you're wrong. But this is why I question, like, if there's a God. There's horrible people in this world who live until they're fucking like in their 90s. Why did my mom have to suffer so much? Like the kidney failure and my dad dying while she was like 50 years old. Me and my brother not talk. Like all this shit. Why did she have to fucking go through this shit? Why? It makes me question if there's a God. It really does. No, why are you making somebody who's so good and who does right all the time by everybody she knows, why is she suffering? I don't understand that. I don't. I had a lot of anger against my brother. I did. Maybe I shouldn't have expressed it to my mom sometimes, but it was like, it was just infuriating. Because when you know somebody's character, like for your whole life, you know somebody to be one way, and then all of a sudden they're not that way anymore, it's very hard to accept when somebody changes so drastically. I mean, dramatically changes. Their whole entire personality changes. Everything about them. And like, I know if his wife wasn't in the picture, we would have been there for each other, we would have been communicating, he would have helped out a lot more. I don't know, I just don't get it. I got a fight with my mom. This is now in April. So it's like, what, 2 months after her surgery. And she was doing better, you know, she's back on her feet and whatever. She had told me this like a while before. I think it was before her surgery. my girlfriend that I hadn't seen in 2 years, she came to New York, and we were going to go to the IMAX together, which is like a makeup show in New York. And my mom was like, don't worry, I'll watch your son for the day. Like, you know, you go with her and just enjoy yourself. You deserve a fucking break. And so, like, the day came up, and I asked my mom if she could watch my son. And she's like, I don't know, Liana. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. My husband deserved a break, too. We don't have anybody around that watches our kids. Like, the last date me and my husband were on, without my son, was my mom's funeral. I'm not even fucking kidding you guys. I'm not kidding. What was that? November 2016. Here it is, January 2019. We're never alone. We don't have anybody to watch my kid. So she basically told me she couldn't watch my kid just for a couple of hours, I was asking her. Not like the whole day, you know? After all the shit we've done for her, because we've done a lot of shit. The last couple of years when my brother was like absent in life, my husband and I were like over there constantly. You know, they weren't talking for 2 years, you know? So well, even when he was around, before his wife, he was pretty fucking useless. But we were always, I had to catch dead mice. There was one morning she closed me up. I'm on my way to work. This was before I had my son. And she's like, oh, yeah, the dog got trapped under the deck. So who goes over there? Me. With a crowbar, take her fucking deck apart to get the dog out before work in the morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, she always called me, and I loved that she depended on me, but like, it was just like, at this point, it just was so much, you know, it was just a lot. And this is why I got pissed off at her. I understood why she couldn't watch her, but this is why I got pissed off at her. She goes, oh, by the way, Sunday, do you want to come over? Because I'm making sauce and all the shit for your brother and his wife and the baby. They're coming over because I think it was the baby's birthday. And I'm like, so wait a second. You can't watch my son, but you could host a fucking dinner party at your house for the baby? Like, for the people that do absolutely nothing for you? I was fucking hurt about it. And so I think that was the point in time where I was kind of like, all right, you know what? I'm over there every fucking day. I need a break. I just needed a break, dude. I was so stressed out. It was constant running back and forth. I took a couple of days to myself. I think I didn't talk to her for like a day because I was fucking upset, you know? I felt like I had a right to be upset. It wouldn't bother me as much as if she didn't have to be like hosting a dinner party the next day. Like, that's a lot of work, you know, to cook and do all the shit. And then like, then you're gonna tell me that you can't watch my son for a couple of hours? Like, I'm sorry, it's a little fucked up, you know? Especially because they don't do anything for you. They barely even call to check to see if you're fucking alive. Like, and you know, I don't know, whatever, you know? Maybe I was wrong. I took a couple of days break. I didn't talk to my mom for like one day, okay? And then I FaceTimed her because I felt bad. I always feel guilty, so I FaceTimed her, but I didn't go over there for like maybe like 3 or 4 days. I needed a break, dude. I literally was running back and forth to her house every single day for probably 2 months straight. 2.5 months straight. I need a break. I just need a break. Fine, we got in a little fight. Everything was fine after that. About a month or so goes by, and still, I had to bring my mom for transfusions. And like, I remember there was one time we went all the way to the hospital. I walked around the mall for fucking 4 hours with my son, waiting for her to get her blood transfusion because they wouldn't let us in the emergency room. And they ended up admitting her. Like, it was just like, oh my God, it was so crazy. It was so crazy. And I don't mean to be like sounding like I'm complaining about this. Like, it's my mom. I would have done anything for her. I would have went to the ends of the fucking earth for her. To be honest, it was really fucking stressful. Like, I don't think I've ever felt that kind of stress in my life. Like, just the constant worry and anxiety and what's gonna happen and Googling symptoms, and I wasn't sleeping good, and it's just like, you know, it was just crazy. I was never home. Like, I was constantly back and forth to her house. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot for one person to do by themselves. So around May, I don't know, I guess I was trying to like figure out what was wrong, because I didn't know if it was the cancer or whatever it was, but it was almost like somebody just sucked her personality out. Like, she was just like apathetic. Everything was just like centered around her illness. And like, we stopped having normal conversations. The things that used to make her laugh and happy, and she just kind of withdrew, you know? And I was starting to get really worried about her. And I was like thinking in my head, maybe it's time she goes and talks to somebody. Because I personally felt like she needed to be medicated at this point. It was that bad, you know? I'm a big believer in that your mind controls your body. You know, if you have a negative outlook and a negative spirit, you're not gonna get better. If she's like positive about this and in a good mood and like somewhat happy, maybe we could prolong her life, you know, or just make her quality of life better, you know, if she's on like antidepressants or anti-anxiety or something, you know. And so I thought it was maybe a good time to finally get her to go see somebody so that she could get on medication or something. To be honest with you guys, it was just desperation. Because I can't do anything. I can't cure cancer. I can't do anything. I've tried everything I could do, and I'm helping her, and I'm doing everything I can to help her, and she's not getting better. She's getting worse. My mom had been depressed for a while, but not like, it's not like clinical depression where she was, you know, laying in bed crying all day. But she wasn't herself. She withdrew from activities that she enjoyed. I mean, you know, this was before she even got sick. She was in a downward spiral over me and my brother not talking, you know, the fact that she was a widow, she wasn't happy with herself. Like, there was all these things going on. And now you add cancer on top of that. And now I think she's at the point where it's like, yeah, it's clinical depression. She might get up and go to work every day, and she might be able to talk on the phone with people, but a lot of people don't realize that depressed people can still live their fucking normal life. They can still go about their business, and people don't know. You know, you can hide depression 100%. There's this guy that I remember from when I was younger, and he was like one of the nicest guys. Always said hi to everybody. He was always smiling. He was always in a good mood. Every time he saw me, give me this big hug. He was like one of the nicest guys. I come to find out this guy committed suicide recently, and I was like, and everybody said it afterwards. Nobody knew that this guy was depressed. Like, nobody knew. Nobody knew that he was suicidal and depressed. And, like, my mom, her whole life, I hate to say this, but, like, my grandmother's kind of vain, too. Like, they're very worried about their image. I think it's an Italian thing, to be honest with you. Like, they always want to just make it look like they have everything under control and everything's okay and blah, 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 blah. And that's not reality. And I think my mom was so used to doing that her whole life. She knew how to maintain that front that everything was, like, okay. But it really wasn't. So I knew at that point in time her co-payment, like her deductible for her insurance plan, she had the fucking worst health insurance. The high deductible, it was like fucking $5,000. Before she actually got coverage. You know, I knew it was paid off that year, so I figured this is a good time. Like, she doesn't have an excuse anymore. She can't say she doesn't have money. Cause like, I'll give you the $20 for the fucking copay. So, you know, me and my aunt, Debbie, the younger one, my mom talked to her every morning before work. Since my dad died, they talked every morning. And I was very close with my Aunt Debbie. I thought I was, at least. I was close to her daughter. Her daughter and me were like sisters. Like, we used to call each other sisters. We texted every day. Like, we were fucking, like, best fucking friends, you know? And my Aunt Debbie, my mom were like best friends. And we talked all the fucking time. And a lot of the conversations, a lot of the time when we talked about my mom and how she was depressed and how she was so negative. And, you know, she turned into, like, negative Nancy, my mom. Like, you know, she was just such a Debbie Downer because she was depressed all the time. So it's not like this was some fucking weird thing that my aunt didn't know about. So now I'm desperate, and I really want to help my mom, and I just want to do something because I don't know what to do anymore. So I think in my head, I'm like, I feel like we need to do, like, an intervention almost, you know? And, like, confront her and really show how much we care, and maybe she'll be more open to it. So I reached out to both of them, and my Aunt Debbie was like, oh, well, I think she needs to save her kidney. So it's like, this was a thing that was going on the whole time. If I vented to them, if I said, like, oh, my brother's not helping out, they would be like, don't focus on him. Focus on this. Focus on your mother. Focus on that. And I'm like, I am focused on my mom. I'm the only one who's fucking helping her. Why are you telling me to focus on her? Why can't I do more than one thing at a time? I don't understand. Why is it always like this or that? Why can't I vent to you guys? I'm not asking you to solve my problems or do anything, but can I vent? I'm stressed the fuck out. No, I wasn't allowed to be stressed out during this time, according to my family. They had no fucking compassion for what I was going through at all. And me and her had conversations that my other aunt, Betty, the older one, who thinks she's the fucking queen of the world, you know, she used to, like, blow things off. Everything was like sunshine and rainbows to her. Like, she just has no fucking concept of reality. And me and my Aunt Debbie have discussed this before, and you can fucking deny it all you want, but you know what the fucking truth is. I wrote to both of them. I was like, do you guys think we could talk to my mom about going to therapy and like her depression? I think she needs to save her kidney. And I'm like, okay, well, why can't she do both? Why is it like that has to be her only focus? And my Aunt Betty writes back to me the same exact thing. Well, I think she needs to save her kidney first. And I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that shouldn't be important. Why do you guys always have to like pick one thing to focus on? Why can't she try to save her kidney and get on antidepressants? Like, why is her mental health not important to you guys? I really didn't understand it. I think that there's a stigma with that generation, not all of them, but my family, that they don't want to be known as people who go to therapists, or because they'll be looked at like they're crazy, because they have to maintain the fucking I have everything together look. If she's like has cancer and has a bad attitude about it, it's not gonna help her live longer. Like, I really believe that, and maybe I'm fucking crazy, I don't know. So my Aunt Debbie and I had talked about how my Aunt Betty is so dismissive when it comes to like anything but my mom's depression. So I decided to write my Aunt Betty, because I was like, she doesn't really listen that good when you talk to her. So I was like, maybe if I write to her, I decided to write her a letter, basically to explain how bad my mom's depression was, like how bad I thought it was, and how serious I thought it was. And I included my other aunt in on it just so that she could see what I was saying to her and see how my aunt reacts. All this time, right, I thought I wrote them this like nasty letter. It was funny. I went and read back this letter after my mom passed away, and I'm trying to process all the shit I went through. There was nothing nasty about this letter, okay? And I'll read it to you guys.